The film I envisioned never made it to the big screen because Edward Norton is an extremely passionate, sometimes to an excessive degree. Since his breakout role in the 90s, Norton has consistently delivered solid performances even when the film itself didn't live up to expectations. With early works like Primal Fear, American History X, and Fight Club, it's hard to understand why his career later slowed down, especially considering his dedication to each role. But looking behind the scenes, the picture becomes clearer. Norton has always walked a fine line between passion and control, from creating a different cut of a film that drew public criticism from the director in a lengthy article to being excluded from the Marvel Universe for lack of cooperation. These stories have shaped his reputation. It's said that Norton often brought script edits to set, but ironically, those changes often made the film better. So let's look back at the moments when he most clearly demonstrated his passion and his controlling tendencies, and how he maintained his position despite not everyone wanting to work with him. Edward Norton was born into a family with a strong social activism orientation. His father was an environmental lawyer, and his grandfather founded a non-profit organization that developed housing for the underprivileged. This lifestyle deeply influenced Norton. Even while busy with his acting career, he remained actively involved in environmental and community activities and was not afraid to express his political views. His passion for acting began very early when he saw a musical at age 5, and by age 8 he had tried his hand at theater. Although theater was his starting point, Norton had a particular love for film, especially elements like cinematography and visual storytelling. Growing up, he found inspiration in actors like Robert De Niro and Dustin Hoffman, those who didn't rely on good looks but still achieved success, leading him to believe he too had a chance in Hollywood. Norton studied history and some Japanese at Yale University, then worked for a time for his nonprofit organization in Japan before moving to New York to pursue acting. He participated in plays, wrote his own stage scripts, and gradually built a name for himself. The turning point came in 1995 when he was selected from over 2,000 applicants for Primal Fear. In the film, Norton played an altar boy accused of murdering a bishop, and his performance received widespread praise, even earning him an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor, a rare achievement for a film role. That same year, he went on to appear in 2 more films, collaborating with big-name directors like Milos Forman and Woody Allen, making it one of the most impressive debut years for an actor. However, this rapid success also inflated his ego and pushed Norton's passion to a whole new level. In 1998, he took on the lead role in American History X, a project that marked a major turning point, but also sparked behind-the-scenes controversies. In American History X, Edward Norton played the leader of a white supremacist gang before being sentenced to 3 years in prison. Remarkably, Norton was initially hired only as an actor, and due to his passion for the project, he accepted a drastically reduced salary for the role. Despite director Tony Kaye's initial doubts, Norton's dedication quickly proved its worth. But Kaye probably wished she had believed her initial doubts. Unlike many of his later projects, where Norton sometimes controlled the script and caused difficulties on set, with American History X, things really exploded in post-production. This was Kaye's directorial debut, and he completed a 95-minute cut that received positive feedback from test screenings. However, New Line Cinema wanted further edits. Norton joined Kaye on the new cut, but the collaboration quickly became tense, to the point where Kaye punched a wall and needed stitches. Ultimately, Norton created his own cut, adding approximately 18 minutes, extending the emotional segments and making the story more coherent. New Line Cinema appreciated this version and tried to persuade Kaye to accept it, but he refused. After much debate, Kaye was given 8 more weeks to create a better cut. Despite claiming to have a completely new vision, he failed to deliver any results, leading the studio to decide to use Norton's cut. Kaye then sought to withdraw the film from the Toronto International Film Festival, demanding that his name be removed and replaced with Humpty Dumpty in the credits, and even filed a $200 million lawsuit against the Directors Union and New Line Cinema, all of which were dismissed. Before the film's release, he spent $100,000 on full-page advertisements in Hollywood newspapers, attacking Norton as the producer, using veiled quotes from John Lennon and Abraham Lincoln. There was even a video recording of him publicly criticizing the situation. When arguing for a chance to rework the cut, Kaye even brought a priest, a monk, and a rabbi to a meeting with the producer to de-escalate the tension. While this story partly illustrates the chaos on the director's part, it is also a clear example of Norton taking control of the project, but in a way that benefited the film. Despite a turbulent production process, the film received positive reviews, and Edward Norton was nominated for an Oscar for Best Actor. Tony Kaye later admitted that his ego had negatively impacted the situation and took responsibility, but he didn't direct another film until 2006. After that, Edward Norton participated in a series of other projects. In Rounders, this was one of the few times his performance was only average. Conversely, he shone in Fight Club, and although the film wasn't initially a box office success, it became one of his favorites, especially thanks to the experience of working with David Fincher, who was always clear in his vision. Norton participated in script editing, assisted with casting, and had a memorable time at the premiere with Brad Pitt. In 2000, he made his directorial debut with Keeping the Faith, where he had the opportunity to showcase his controlling tendencies, although the film received only average reviews. In 2001, he starred in The Score alongside his idols Robert De Niro and Marlon Brando. If any stories about Norton during production exist, they are overshadowed by Brando's on-set behavior. In 2002, Norton had an interesting experience with Death to Smoochie, starring alongside Robin Williams and directed by Danny DeVito. However, that same year, he reverted to his familiar style in Frida, constantly rewriting the script despite only being hired as an actor. The film and its script received praise from critics and the cast, but Norton was not credited with the screenplay. Also, in 2002, he played FBI agent Will Graham in Red Dragon, a prequel to The Silence of the Lambs. There, Norton frequently clashed with director Brett Ratner over the script and the construction of certain scenes. Ratner once remarked that Norton's instinct was to take over the film to save it, a trait that was both an advantage and a disadvantage. Norton continued to bring his own script revisions to the set, although there were mixed opinions about whether the director truly supported these changes. His passion was described by many as infectious, but it also caused considerable conflict. Each screenwriter and director has their own vision, and the level of acceptance of an actor changing the direction of a film varies, even when those changes could improve the quality. Norton was often praised for this, but it also cost him many industry connections. Even with a lack of enthusiasm for a project like The Italian Job, he still delivered an impressive performance and became a highlight of the film. His lack of enthusiasm is somewhat understandable, as he was obligated to participate to fulfill a 3-film contract with Paramount Pictures. However, he refused to promote the film and was reportedly uncomfortable during filming. These were projects he participated in before embarking on a passion project, where he later ran into major trouble. In 2008, Edward Norton played Bruce Banner in The Incredible Hulk, the second film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In The Incredible Hulk, Edward Norton showed a much greater passion than one might think. He took on the role because he was a longtime fan of the Hulk, both from the comics and the television series with Bill Bixby. Marvel initially gave the script to Zach Penn, who had completed 3 drafts before Norton joined in 2007. While Penn was busy promoting another project, Norton began negotiations for the lead role. After discussions with Marvel and director Louis Leterrier, he not only got the role but was also allowed to revise the script. He had to submit a script within a month and completed it on time, but continued to revise throughout half of the filming process. Norton even rewrote scenes every day. Leterrier appreciated these changes as they gave the character of Bruce Banner more depth. However, not everyone supported his work ethic. When Norton took control of the script, Zach Penn withdrew from the production and expressed his dissatisfaction, especially when Norton appeared at Comic-Con, despite Penn being the lead writer. Ultimately, the Writers Guild of America still credited Penn as the sole screenwriter because Norton's revisions weren't considered significant enough. Behind-the-scenes footage clearly shows Norton's level of investment. He almost acted as a co-director in many moments. During filming, this was acceptable due to the relatively collaborative work environment. But when it came to post-production, problems arose. Both Norton and Louis Leterrier wanted a film around 135 minutes long, while Marvel Studios demanded it be under 2 hours. Ultimately, Marvel decided to use a shortened version. This conflict quickly became public knowledge, with rumors that Norton would refuse to promote the film if he wasn't satisfied with the final cut. Norton denied the rumors, claiming they were just sensationalist stories. But the subsequent promotional campaign reportedly reduced his screen time. Despite this, he still attended the premiere and participated in some promotional activities. The film premiered to mixed reviews. Years later, the truth behind these rumors became clearer. In The Avengers, Norton was replaced by Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. Marvel president Kevin Feige stated that the decision wasn't financial, but rather about wanting an actor with a better collaborative spirit within the cast, a statement widely seen as a direct jab at Norton's work style. Norton reacted strongly, calling the comments unprofessional and defamatory. However, in 2014, he stated that he no longer wanted to continue playing the Hulk in order to diversify his career rather than being typecast into a single character. Nevertheless, in some later interviews, he still expressed a certain degree of regret. After The Incredible Hulk, Edward Norton's career began to slow down, and his reputation for being difficult to work with spread further. In Pride and Glory, Edward Norton was initially scheduled to star alongside Nick Nolte, but Nolte withdrew due to a chronic knee injury. He later revealed in his memoir that Norton's arrogant attitude was also partly responsible for his departure. He was replaced by Jon Voight, who also found Norton's controlling working style quite irritating. In 2014, Norton starred in Birdman, playing a self-centered, selfish, and difficult-to-work-with actor, a character that led many to jokingly say he was just playing himself. Despite this, the role earned him an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Except for a few collaborations with Wes Anderson, who reportedly enjoyed working with Norton, he's only appeared sporadically in a few projects and rarely played a leading role since the Hulk era. But the reason isn't just that others are hesitant to work with him. Norton's life isn't just about Hollywood fame. In fact, he's always disliked the A-list star image, preferring to live a normal life while continuing to act. He's content with his career and respects actors who carefully choose their roles rather than taking on as many projects as possible. For Norton, appearing in a few films that deliver profound value is already a success, which is also the original reason he fell in love with acting. While some may regret not continuing his involvement in the Marvel Universe with an estimated net worth of around $300 million, he's clearly still very successful, partly thanks to his shrewd investing skills, something he's just as passionate about as acting or social activism. These are moments that best illustrate Edward Norton's passion and his tendency towards control in his career. What do you think of his path?